just get the wagon. Like, why would you not? It's available as a wagon, increases practicality, and it kind of looks cooler as a wagon in my opinion as well. But it is good that Skoda does offer both a sedan or a fastback and a wagon option in Australia. This is the 2025 Skoda Octavia RS. It's got a bit of a cult following, this thing, because it is quite fast. It's got some hardcore performance elements underneath, but it's wrapped up in a very practical, subtle, unassuming sedan or wagon format. Like, taking a look at it now, you wouldn't immediately know that this is offering cracking performance. Apart from the black lip spoiler at the back, some red trimmings along the back side there, and the red RS or VRS badge, red brake calipers, and then, yeah, more black trimmings around the front end, grills, window surrounds, and so on. But if this was a dark colored car, yeah, you wouldn't really stand out. Underneath it all, this is, of course, based on the same platform as the Volkswagen Golf GTI, you might as well say as well, because it does feature the exact same engine as the Golf GTI. It's a 2-litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder producing 195 kilowatts an hour and 370 Newton meters. That's matched to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic with front-wheel drive and a trick differential. So it's a quick machine. It's a little bit slower than the Golf GTI. Someone commented on the Golf GTI video recently saying, why would you buy a Golf GTI over this? Well, this is a little bit heavier. It's about 100 kilograms heavier than the Golf. It is a bigger vehicle after all as well, but I think what the commenter was getting at is you're kind of getting more car, but it basically does the same thing. It's based on the same platform and it uses the same powertrain. And then inside, as per typical with Skodas, very practical but good build quality and a neat and tidy design. You've got a wireless charging pad down there on the console, twin cup holders, a little armrest and storage box, and even the bottle holders in the doors are lined with carpet just to try and give it some insulation. And you've got the trademark little bin, storage bins, lined bins in the door pockets as well. Nice door trimmings. You've got this Alcantara sort of stuff that looks like plastic, but it's not. You can actually dig your fingernail in there. It's just lower down with hard wearing plastic. Awesome seats in the front as well. They really hug you in, but they're not too aggressive. They don't poke you and prod you around. The cushioning is quite soft. Power adjustable for the driver and passenger as well. You can find a very natural driving position very easily. Perforated sports steering wheel. Not a huge fan of flat bottom steering wheels, but anyway, it is a nice size in terms of the diameter. You've got some steering wheel controls there as well to make things easy while you're driving. And then for the driver, you've got a fully digital instrument cluster. Nice and neat and tidy, easy to read, and you can actually configure not only what you want to display on the left and right, but also the display theme. You just hold down the button on the steering wheel for a second or so and it changes to a different theme. As you can see there, we're averaging 7.3 litres per 100 kilometres, which is not far off the official rating of 7 litres per 100 kilometres. Actually really efficient package considering this is quite a large vehicle and it's also quite fast. And then up on the dash here, pretty simple but large touchscreen. I'm not a fan of huge touchscreens. That's probably about the limit for me anyway. Everyone's got their personal tastes. There's your drive modes. You've got some physical buttons down here, but they're mainly just sort of shortcuts. So for climate, you just push the climate button and it will take you to that page. It's just too much stuffing around, you know. If you want to just adjust the temperature or whatever, you've got to go in there and prod around, or maybe not the temperature, you've got the little display down there. But yeah, if you want to make selections, you've got to push multiple times, compared with the sort of older school setup where it's just got a completely separated climate control panel that just stays there and it's permanently there. I would prefer that. But anyway, you do have some physical buttons there, so it's easy to jump to various bits and pieces. And then, as I said, wireless charger, twin USB-C ports, simple little gear selector toggle, and you do have paddle shifters as well, although it won't hold gears to redline even in sport mode. I haven't tried it with the traction control off yet, but in sport mode, in manual mode, it will upshift by itself. It won't like bang on the rev limiter. And up at the back, again, very practical. You've got this little bucket thing that you can take out if you want to. Flip down armrest with some cup holders there. You've got mild or semi climate control, I guess. You can turn the temperature down. You've also got heated seats for the outer passengers and 2 USB ports. Pockets in the back of both seats, including these little sub pockets, so you can put your phone or whatever in there. And then again, the carpet lined bottle holders. perfect amount of space back here. I mean, my head's getting pretty close to that getting in, because it is a kind of coupe style of sedan, fastback hatch lid. But once you're in, you've actually got a decent amount of headroom. Like, my head's nowhere near the ceiling there, and legroom is very good as well in my seating position. I'm 170 centimeters, so pretty short, but even if you were a bit taller, I think you'd be okay for this class anyway. Up at the back, we've got quite a large boot, 600 litres on offer here. You've got tabs on the side so you can pop down the rear seats from the back. You don't have to walk around to the side. Got these little partition sections, a net that you can put in, lots of tie hooks so you can secure all your items, and even little hooks on the side there to get your shopping bags. And under the floor, we've got a space saver spare wheel. This car's got some security blinds that hasn't been installed yet, so I've just got that under the carpet mat. It's almost a wagon with that hatch lid that pops up, so you could put some furniture in there with no problem. It doesn't have like a small opening that would close off there like a normal boot lid, but you don't have the height. So with the wagon, the roof line obviously comes out here and then drops down a bit later. But in saying that, if you do like sedans, I'm a fan of sedans, and you don't like the look of a wagon, this offers better practicality over a typical sedan, like a WRX or an i30 sedan or a Elantra sedan. All right, let's take it for a drive. I'm keen to see how this handles compared with the Golf GTI, with the sort of longer platform. It will be, interesting to see if it offers better stability, but does it lose some of the playfulness out on the winding road? We'll do the performance test later on as well. So firstly, yes, it is a very practical and easy to drive sedan. I've got decent visibility, although you do sit quite low compared with an SUV if that's what you're used to. But I've got decent clearance over that side mirror, a little bit of a gap in between the pillar and the mirror as well. The pillar is quite thin, so you can see around it. It doesn't feel intimidating. And then out the back, it's probably a little bit more constrained compared with the wagon, just because the pillars drop down a bit like a coupe. But overall, this doesn't feel like an intimidating vehicle to drive. Like, you can park this really easily. You know where the outside proportions of the vehicle are. You've got a good sense of its size. Ride quality is very good for especially for a sporty sedan like this. I'm in the normal mode now, and yeah, it feels comfortable. This road is got a pretty poor condition tarmac. It's got little ripples and so on, little dips and all sorts of stuff, and it's just soaking it up nicely. I mean, it's more towards the sporty sort of European end of the spectrum, but totally comfortable enough to use every day. There's a little bit of elasticity, I guess, in the throttle. Like, you push your foot and it sort of just remains in the taller gears when you're in normal mode, that this is, and in the D as well. You've got an S mode for the transmission that's separate to the drive modes. But yeah, when you're just in the standard default mode, you sort of push your foot on the accelerator, and then it sort of keeps surging the turbo but remaining in the higher gear, and then it will kick down when you just give it a little bit more throttle, which, yes, totally makes sense. I'd probably prefer it to kick down just a little bit earlier in the normal mode, but I guess it is hunting for better fuel economy, and that's what we're seeing at 7.3 in the real world. That is very good. So I'll flick it over into the sport mode. Big stick on the road. And then, yeah, you've got either D or S mode for the transmission. If you leave it in D, kind of does the same thing. It will hold higher gears a bit longer than, just a fraction longer than you might expect. It'll not downshift for longer than you might expect when you start pushing the throttle, that is. But it's still, it's not over revving or anything like that. And then when you put it into S mode, you get that more aggressive shift pattern. And yeah, it will provoke a downshift much sooner when you start leaning on the throttle. The good thing about this S mode is you could go for a nice drive, and it's quite aggressive, but it's not too aggressive, and it just supports a sporty drive. Yeah, you don't have to engage with the paddle shifters if you don't want to. And if you really want to take part in some sporty driving, you've got an ESC Sport mode, which allows some slip. I'll just show you with a full throttle takeoff. So this is in the ESC Sport mode, full throttle. So it just has a little bit of wheel spin, but controlled, and it's not torque steering or anything like that. Now we'll try it with, turn that lane keep assist off actually, and the drowser monitor. Some of the safety systems are quite good. They're not intrusive and overly sensitive, and it's easy to turn them off. You just go to this little symbol up here, brings you to this page, and you can just hit it off, turn it off, turn it off. Although it would be good if they remained off. Part of the ANCAP rules is they have to turn back on each time you start the vehicle. So now we'll try it with its traction control completely off, just see if there's any difference. Pretty much the same gradient hill, same sort of tarmac surface. So it's still intervened by the looks of it. The traction or stability control light was flashing a bit, so it doesn't let away complete wheel spin. I wonder if I turn that off. If I hold it down, maybe it'll turn off completely. No, I don't think it does. Unless you know that there's a way you can turn it off completely. I'll just try that again. So that was a fair bit more wheel spin that time. Kind of spun into second gear. So it's, yeah, it's a bit more playful with the TSC off, or TCS off. All these different acronyms for the same function. Some people call it ESP, some people call it ESC. Yeah, we'll hit the manual mode now. Paddle shifters, got blipping, rev matching of downshifts, full throttle around here. Excellent differential, just hooking me around there. No major wheel spin, even with the stability control off, or the traction control off. A little bit of torque steer going through there, actually. In a playful way, it's kind of tugging at the wheel. It's got what feels like torque vectoring, so it will try to flip to the right and left side to provide excellent, or the optimum stability. Yeah, lots of fun, excellent grip. It's very low and flat, as you'd imagine. Yeah, it's a good chassis, this. It is playful. It's not completely rigid, as in, you know, not willing to play. You can throw it around a little bit, get a bit of weight on the nose, unweight the rear end. It feels like it would start to just slide a little bit, just to help tuck in the front end. Aggressive downshifts, full throttle. It's then upshifted by itself then, but picks up a lot of speed very easily. It's a quick sedan, even with the torque output of 370 Newton meters, which is down a little bit on some hot hatches. It's more than what you get in a WRX, which is 350. That's got a larger capacity engine as well. Nice exhaust, pops and bangs. It's not too loud. I'd like it a little bit louder in the sport mode, but it's got that sporty sort of edge. You definitely know this is not a standard package. Little bit of wheel spin going around there, but it's controlling it so it doesn't just run away from you, the inside wheel. And yeah, it's upshifting by itself, so I don't really like that. I'd rather it's just me hit the paddle, because sometimes I don't want to upshift because I'm about to come into a corner. So this will automatically upshift, and then you've got to go bang straight on the paddle again to downshift twice instead of just holding that gear. Obviously this is for more hardcore, sporty sort of driving and track driving. But yeah, just a little criticism on my end. I would prefer it to hit the red line. You can use the paddles to, you know, provoke the downshift. So it is still exciting and engaging to drive. Full throttle, excellent grip coming out of there. Yeah, it really gets up and goes. I can see why these things have a bit of a following, because they are quite unassuming to look at, but yet they're very practical and very quick. And as I said, the suspension is not bone jarring. It's still capable of doing the shopping run, going to church on Sundays or whatever, but yet you can go on a nice mountain road like this, or take it to the track and have a bit of fun. This corner is really weird. It sort of gets tighter and tighter as you go around. Puts a lot of strain on the front outside tyre. That's full throttle, and that just pulled through with complete stability. There was no sort of nervousness or anything like that. Yeah, excellent package. Although I probably would go with the wagon just to give you that extra practicality. And also I think wagons, or in my opinion anyway, wagons are just a little bit cooler these days, a bit trendier than sedans. All right, let's head off now to the performance test and see what it goes like.